What up, YouTube? This is Insane Monster, and this is the beginning part of What If Asta Had Satan Gravity Ether Gear. Now, as to what it is and what it's from, basically, it's it's a form of power that is produced when that is used by people who have something called ether gear, where they manipulate energy. And no, it's not actual magic, but they manipulate energy to cause different things to happen. Different forms of ether gear do different things. The ether gear that Asta will gain is the Satan Gravity ether gear used by Shiki Granbell from the manga Eden Zero. I'll put a link in the description below to the source material for you to watch, and also, I do have to say that I don't own this or anything. And as for the manga, last I've heard, they will be getting the Eden Zero is possibly greenlit for a anime series. Now then, uh, in the timeline, this is past the time when Yuno and Asta had to deal with that drunk trying to steal Yuno's pendant, and after some time when him and Asta are training, on their way home, it there's like this odd voice, a woman's voice telling them to come. They find it odd, though it kind of relaxes them, and they ended up following. As they walk, they met with two glowing orbs, each with different patterns. The voice said, "Take hold of these." They decided to go with it, though they were kind of hesitant, but somehow they felt that this voice was someone they could trust, even though they didn't recognize it. The one Asta put his hand on had similar markings to what you see in the thumbnail, giving him Satan Gravity Ether Gear. As for Yuno, the one he put on his hand on gave him the power of the Sword Ether Gear. And if you've seen the anime and such and know the things about Yuno that you find out in the climax of the most recent finished dub big conflict and all that, then you'll understand why I gave sword ether gear. When as they took it, they saw a vision of people. Well, for starters, they each saw a different person using the powers that they are gaining, and finally seeing something that would occur once they reached a threshold of strength and mastery over this ability. This is, and they hear the word in their minds, knowing what this form is: overdrive. For what Asta sees, he sees Shiki Granbell in his overdrive form, which is, give me a minute, this. This, Asta, if Asta could train hard enough and gain uh, a mastery over this power, it is possible for him to gain this overdrive form. Now, Nuno sees one as well, though it's a bit different, and due to reasons, mostly I don't know what it looks like, uh, I'll save the imagery of it for later. Though, once it's done, they stumble back a bit, wondering what's going on. As they look at their hands, seeing glowing marks on them, even some on their feet, from their hands to their forearms, from their feet to their shins. these marks are glowing. As the years go by, they start training. What Yuno finds is that he's able to create swords and uses his wind magic in combination with these to make powerful air slashes, and trains to use these swords pretty well. As for Asta, he finds himself capable of gravity control. What this entails is, for a attack standpoint, increasing the gravitational force of things like his fist and feet for kicks and punches, very powerful ones, or engulfing his fist in condensed gravitons for a devastating punch, or even making just spears of concentrated gravitons to fire out at enemies. He also had a lot of fun using his gravity to manipulate his own pull of gravitation, to where he was able to walk up walls like he was walking on solid ground, or even walking on the ceiling like it was just natural. So they do train a good bit together, also getting very good at maneuvering in midair using his ether gear to redirect his gravity. More or less, it looks like he's flying, but what he's actually doing is falling. He's just redirecting his gravity to fall in his desired direction. He and he does train with Yuno a good bit with these, all the way to the point where the marks begin to extend past their elbows and knees, going all over their bodies. Though they continue this, and having only got this recently, whenever they reach the age before the grimoire ritual. But once they do go there to get their grimoires, Yuno gets his, but Asta still doesn't. So he goes away using his ether gear to fall sideways back to his usual training spot, and starts punching, demolishing rocks with his bare fist, enhanced by the with gravity enhancements. Though he does go back, meeting and seeing that Yuno already defeated the nobles, but was being attacked by a chain mage. Though this time, after the chain mage binds him, he uses his ether gear, since it isn't magic and the chain mage can't bind it, to create floating swords to shoot at him. The chain mage was able to use his chains to block some of them, though they did cut through a good number of his chains fairly easily. As this was going on, Asta hurries up and ends up fall flying right to the chain mage, amping up some gravitons on his foot, swinging his foot near towards the chain mage as he went to dodge, though the gravitons extended to create somewhat of a blade, or I guess a wave of or a graviton wave that hits him, forcing him back. That does cause some damage. He uses his chains on to fight Asta, and when he goes to hit Asta, he's surprised to see him backflipping up the wall, landing on the wall as if it's ground. Running on the wall, he avoids the chain mage's attacks, though he unexpectedly gets hit by one of them and falls down, losing concentration for a moment. The, with the chain mage saying, you brats are annoying, but you're also interesting. Maybe instead of just taking this grimoire to be sold as art, I can take the both of you and sell you to some shady magic researchers. I'm sure they'll be interested in those glowing marks of yours. Especially since my chains are supposed to be binding your magic, and not to mention my chains also say that you don't even have magic, yet you're pulling all this crazy stuff off. At this time, the black five-leaf clover grimoire bursts from the wall, going to Asta. As Asta grabs the sword, the chain maze fires an attack, and Asta slashes it, completely demolishing his chains. Then he begins to concentrate the gravitons onto his sword, enveloping it in a dark kind of glow, charging, or basically flying, soaring, whatever you want to call it, semantics, whatever, going right toward the chain mage, slamming him with the sword. Though, on contact, the gravitons burst out and send him flying not just into the wall, but clean through it, knocking him out, allowing to be free, and Asta to give back grimoire. At this time, they do the same fist bumping thing as they did in canon, promising that one of them will become the Wizard King. This is where I'm going to leave it off for now for this part. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Also remember to hit that notification bell. This has been Insane Monster doing What If Asta Had Satan Gravity Ether Gear, Part 1. Hope see you later.